going on, traders? This is Jack with the Trading Tribe. Today I wanted to go through one of my most recent trades that I put on into the Bitcoin futures market. I was able to pull out about $2,000 on Friday, December 6th. Wanted to recap kind of the trade as we are still kind of up near all-time highs, so my idea is still kind of in effect. But we can start by just looking at my TrazeZella stats and understanding kind of how the trade went. I actually just exited on Friday, so we can see here my exits and my entries on the micro Bitcoin futures contract. So that's kind of how I ended up trading this idea. We can see that Bitcoin has essentially been rallying all the way past $100,000 last week. And right after it made that push to all-time highs, north of 100,000, it essentially had this really nice pullback back down to kind of this 200 moving average on the hourly, which has been a really nice kind of key level or key focus area for these dip buys. And I essentially did just buy the dip on Bitcoin, and then I essentially held the trade and added, and then essentially got out into this push of strength on Friday, kind of late day. We can see the trade kind of did nothing for a little bit, right? I sat with it for a few hours and I was pretty much break even. And then we can see from a P&L perspective, it kind of had a steady climb after that. So this is really how I like to have my trades go. I like to start getting into trades and adding to trades and then having them kind of slowly drift higher in my favor. But essentially this was the idea. We can see my profit after fees, as well as my executions on the trade here if you're interested. So again, I had kind of multiple entries and then I exited my trades together kind of into the push higher. If we look at ThinkorSwim as well, I can show my trades here for the micro Bitcoin futures. We can see the same thing, right? I had kind of two legs of my entries, and then I had my exits kind of up here towards the top. If we look on ThinkorSwim, right, we can see really the same thing. So we can see micro Bitcoin futures is just a nice way to get into Bitcoin and trade Bitcoin in the short term. You do have to worry about expiration dates, right, since it is a futures contract. So there definitely are pros and cons to trading the true spot Bitcoin asset class or this. Definitely feel free to look on my channel for a little bit more of a breakdown on some of the pros and cons there, but for this idea, essentially it was just a short-term swing trade, so I like to put those trade ideas on within the futures market. And essentially, we can see, right, Bitcoin essentially has been making multiple pullbacks these last few weeks, and really they've all warranted really, really nice buy opportunities. So you can see some nice dip buys earlier in November, and then obviously these recent dips in December have also been bought up really well as well. So I have kind of a trend line here showing some really nice holds as well as some key levels. And that's really how I got the idea, right? I saw this really, really nice push higher. Then I saw this pull back. And then I saw it hold, right? These moving averages, as well as this trend line, which gave me the idea, right, to take it and hold it for a move higher. What's nice about this is when you do see a trade where you can get risk this tight, right? Risk to reward ends up being, right, a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1. So these trades can quickly pay and make up for any losses on Bitcoin earlier in the year or future losses on Bitcoin, because again, right, the risk to reward is extremely favorable here. So I'll look for trades like this a lot, and I ended up getting in on this drop. So we can see Bitcoin at a really, really nice flush all the way from 105,000 all the way to about 96,000. And we can see here on the 1 minute on the right when it got down to 96,000, it started seeing massive buying, right? So we saw some nice order flow to kind of start an uptrend here on the 1 minute. That's typically my signal, right? Once it's at a key area and we're seeing proof, right, of buyers, that's where I'll start in on the trade. And then over to the right, as I woke up and saw the next day progressing and continuing that uptrend, that's where I'll add. and scale out. So if I put in those entries and exits on the 1 minute, we can kind of see exactly where, but essentially that is exactly how I went about taking the trade. And let me refresh here just to show kind of what those entries and exits look like. And that 5-minute chart was a good way to see it. But here we can see that drop that we just talked about. That's where I started getting into the trades. These green orders are those initial 3 contracts. And then I added as that uptrend continued. And then really towards the top there, as it started breaking down on that Friday session, is where I ended up cutting the trade. So again, it got about 80% to my initial target, and going into a weekend, right, it had some gap risk and took the trade off into that really nice move. So hopefully this helps kind of show how I was able to make $2,000 trading Bitcoin. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those down below in the comment section. Feel free to also like and subscribe to the channel for a lot more content like this. Thanks everyone, and we'll be back next time.